again. It's a Willie Nelson song. It's also a reality for the UMass Lowell Hockey Riverhawks. The hockey team ranks 6th in both national polls, visits Amherst, Mass., the Mullins Center, and the University of Massachusetts on Saturday night. It is the 6th and final stop on what at times feels like an endless journey. It's the longest road stretch of the year and the longest in a couple of years.
I think it's healthy to have a combination of the two. You know, this was by design, having this many road games in a row, being able to stay on the road for a solid 7 days. Some people find it a nuisance. I find it a healthy challenge. And I think a lot of these kids want to play the next level so they can determine what it is to play 4 games in 8 nights, 3 games in 5 nights, and be on the road for a solid a week. So I think it's healthy. It's a good challenge. I'd like to think it's a test of resilience. I think it's been a while since we've played at the Songus. We're going to welcome that opportunity next week. But it's another opportunity to show what we have on the road. And one of our goals this year was to be a very strong road team, and we're heading in that direction. Well, if they can play the same on the road as they do at home, I think is the epitome of a great road team. There's always a little bit more adversity on the road, and you tend to simplify your game, and I think we've done just that here over the last 3 weeks.
The Riverhawks have won the first 5 games of this 6-game road trip. But more than that, road trips such as these allow a coach to learn something about his team.
Well, I think we've grown closer. I think that's a great thing to have happen. You usually do that over a lot of road games, road trips. And we had the benefit of going on the road several times before Christmas. But now after Christmas, you grow that much closer, and you have a little success on the road. It helps. So they've gotten increasingly tighter, and then we're going to need that in the stretch run here.
During this road stretch, the Riverhawks have also, for the first time this year, won 1-goal games. They did so twice, a 3-2 win against Colgate, a 2-1 win against the University of New Hampshire, and that win at UNH was also the first time this year that the team won a game in which it scored fewer than 3 goals. And that tells a coach something about a team as well.
Yeah, it's going to be necessary, because I think the further along you go in the playoffs, the more tight games there are, and the more low-scoring games there are. So it's going to be, again, necessary to be able to close those games out. And I thought they managed the game pretty well. They didn't have as much fuel in the tank left as they did earlier in the last 2 weeks. But they found a way, and that's important also.
The Riverhawks' opponents, UMass Amherst, has struggled at times this season. 5 wins, 15 losses, a couple of ties. But some of those wins are significant. A victory against Notre Dame, a victory against Merrimack. They are a team not to be taken lightly.
I'm learning more about our opponent. I think they've got great team speed. Their special teams have been good in spurts. They've had their challenging times, but they've also had their great wins. They beat Notre Dame at home. They beat Merrimack, as you mentioned. They can be a very good hockey club, and we know them very well from playing them 3 times last year.
UMass Lowell and Massachusetts, the only Division I hockey programs in the state university system, do play 3 times during the year. 2 games are part of the Hockey East schedule. Those will be played in February. The 3rd game, and in this case, this non-conference game, was added to determine the winner of the Alumni Cup. The Riverhawks have grabbed that trophy 16 times in the 22-year history of the battle for bragging rights within the state system.
Well, I think it can be turned into a healthy rivalry, and I think that's what it's been for the last couple of years. It's meaningful games, Hockey East games, and you throw another non-conference game to decide the Alumni Cup. It's a good way to cap off the season with Amherst.
This is January, the middle of the hockey season, but for student athletes, there are no classes. It's still the break between semesters, so the coach has the team involved in various community service undertakings. This week, the Wish Project.
Yeah, it's an integral part. It's also about giving back to your community who supports you so well, and it's very important to us to help the community. We live in a great city, and we want to keep making it that and giving back.